Welcome to the AT Alpha Project. 2008 marked the first year of the 2-week project. It was an incredible time for myself and 14 other men who walk with God. The project's theme this year was Never Walking Alone, and we hope that these 10 college guys walked away with a northern star that will help them to follow God for the rest of their lives. Josh is from Missouri, Dan is from Florida, Michael from North Dakota, Bryn, he's from Ohio, Eric is from Wisconsin, Jeremy from Colorado, Max is from California, John is from Colorado, Phil is also from Colorado, and lastly, Weeds is from Wisconsin. The staff that led the project was Paul, he was on staff at Campus Crusade at K-State, Andrew is in transition from college to the professional world, Jason is campus director for Crusade at K-State, then Matthew John, who works for Focus on the Family, and lastly, Brad Durham, an 8th grade science teacher in Missouri. Our mission of the Alaska Transformation is to set young men on a lifelong path of walking with God and spiritual leadership. With that, we define a path of biblical manhood as reject passivity, accept responsibility, lead courageously, and expect God's greater reward. The journey began with the Dan Moeller camping trip. We hiked 3 miles up a mountain on Douglas Island, which overlooked Juneau. This trip was filled with a night of collapsing a tree for firewood, cooking over an open flame, and body surfing down the side of a mountain. But most importantly, a night where every man shared his heart, the good, and the bad of our lives with our action groups. At the conclusion of the Dan Moeller camping trip, we took some time to let the guys get a good taste of what Alaska was all about. We took them chum salmon fishing and dudgey crabbing. It was a blast. From there, our next trail led us to teaching the guys on how to share their faith. From there, we went on our action group campout. My group had the privilege of going to Portland Island, a 20-minute boat ride from Juneau. We cooked over the open flame and then spent part of the evening discussing the book Pursuit of God by A.W. Tozer. Upon our return from the action group campout, we embarked on the Divine Appointment Day. Our intent was for the guys to create ministry opportunities in the middle of a city where they had no resources or transportation. The idea of serving through love and building relationships with new people in Juneau was training for our native village trip. 9 of us set out for Cake, Alaska for one mission: to connect with the natives and produce friendships. We jokingly copied the title, The Fellowship of Cake, but that is truly what happened. The first group arrived and were shuttled directly to the town's community center where they got to experience native dancing. Scott was our contact from the Salvation Army Church. He was pretty cool once we got to know him. Then, on July 4th, we began our quest by joining the natives in their festivities to celebrate America's independence that began with a 5-mile run. We spent the day on the streets building relationships, eating watermelon, and drinking pop. Our hope was to invite people to the 3-on-3 tournament that we put on in Cake on July 5th. We wanted to do something that the entire community would feel welcomed in. Our goal was to go there, build relationships so future AT projects can return to share the gospel message. We did indeed do that. We had 60 people turn out for the 3-on-3 tournament and friendships were made. Lastly though, we did join in the final competition on July 4th with the Polar Plunge. That was a cold moment in our lives. The single most impactful aspect of the week for myself and others was our visit to the glacier. We succeeded in giving an eternal perspective of how short our lives truly are and how short of a time we have to make an impact for the gospel. Jason challenged our group to consider the amount of ice that we thought would melt by the time we would die, then to look beyond that point and to see how much ice would still be there. We finished our trip at Sawmill Creek where we expected to do a lot of pink salmon fishing and see a lot of brown bear. We didn't see any of the brown bear that we had hoped, but we did have our fill of pink salmon and dudgey crabs. After feasting on the crab and the salmon, we spent the rest of the time discussing the 5th and probably the most important aspect of the Authentic Manhood series: how to apply these 4 principles on a daily basis. We concluded our trip by commissioning the men to live out the 4 principles that we had presented to them. It was a powerful time. We were grateful for how God used these short 2 weeks to be transformational in all of our lives. Never walk alone.